Hey crafty people, it's Tasha here for Time for Tea Designs, and today I'm going to be using the brand new square label die set to create a slimline card. So there is the new die set that I'm using. That's just a slimline die that I will be using. I was just testing out the how it was going to work, the shape and everything. So I picked out some of the patterns that I absolutely love the most from the latest summer pattern paper release. These papers are gorgeous. And then as I said, I'm using the square label dies. Now, I don't very often, if ever, really make square cards. It's just not a format that I necessarily enjoy. But I wanted to find a way to use these dies not in a square. Obviously there's many ways to use them, and I'm going to be using the smaller ones to make tags later this month, so keep your eye out for that. But I wanted to use all of the different ones and turn it into a slimline size, so that's what I'm going to do. So of the pattern papers that I chose, I cut one of the square label dies from each one. When I took chose the label dies, I chose every other one because then I'd have a little bit more space between them. That will make sense as we go through making them. So as you can see, I have skipped forward a little bit because it did take a little while to cut them all down. But I'm now cutting the smallest of my little squares for this card, and keep all the offcuts because waste not, want not, and I will use them. So once I'd got all of my pieces, all my squares die cut, then I could begin stacking them up together to see how they're going to look. As I said, they're all from the same paper pad, so I knew already that they were all going to coordinate nicely, because they're all from the same collection. I just love the bright, fun patterns and the colours. Oh, I just love these. I had to do the lolly one as the smallest because that pattern one is just too cute, and I needed that to be the front. So once I got a rough idea of how they were going to line up, I grabbed my slimline die so that I could measure up sort of how they're going to cut out. So that's the kind of thing that I'm going for. Diagonal. The blue paper is cut from the largest, is cut with the largest square die, but I've got a little trick for how I fill in the rest of the space. So I'm just adding some tape runner to the back of each of these three smallest ones, and I'm going to just layer those on top of each other, just as they are, adding plenty of adhesive so that I know that they're going to stick well, but I know that they're going to be run through the die cutting machine, so that's going to stick them together pretty well. Once I'd done those top three, I decided I didn't want to waste all that beautiful paper that was going to be hidden, and plus I didn't want my card to be too bulky. So for each of the next layers, I chose a smaller die, two smaller than the one that had cut that, and I just cut the middle from them, and then I'm showing you there where I've stacked them up, but the bottom three layers have got the middles missing. So I'm lining up my slimline die. I'm going to tape that into place with some low tack tape. Now I am running it over my hand to make sure that I get rid of some of the stickiness. So once I've got the slimline size cut out from those squares, I took a piece of a different pattern paper and cut it down to be about the same width, just a little bit more, and then I cut that in half and I attached one to either end of the die cut slimline panel. Now you could just add just enough and trim it with your paper trim or whatever, but I wanted to make it look really cohesive, so I knew that I'd added more than I needed for each of the yellow pieces, and then I ran that back through my die machine again with that slimline die in place, and that just ensures that I've just got a really cohesive look. I've cut the word celebrate, and I wanted a shadow for it, so I was just drawing around my die to get the shadow to cut out. I'll link a video where I did that before. Unfortunately my camera died, so I didn't catch the rest of it. So that smaller slimline panel, I added that onto a larger slimline panel that I cut out with one of the other die sets, again linked below. I added the word celebrate. That sub-sentiment is from one of the pre-printed sentiment sets, which are awesome, and I added some white enamel dots as well, which are also Time for Tea designs. So that's my card. I hope that you like it. I hope that gives you some idea of how you could go about using the square label dies for non-square cards. I hope that you have a lovely, happy, safe and wonderful week. Stay crafty. Bye!